Deep within the rainforests of the Democratic Republic of Congo lives one of the cutest and most distinctive animals on Earth, the Okapi. Known by many in the region as the rainforest giraffe, this symbolic mammal is elusive and uniquely endemic to the surrounding areas of dense lowland forestry, which means that poaching, mining, and deforestation are threatening its livelihood. But before these creatures end up becoming extinct or get displaced as a result of human intervention, let's do our best to get to know them and maybe drum up some support to help them out. So whether you're a lover of animals or you just want to know as much as possible about one of the cutest animals around, you've come to the right place. As we're about to look at some of the weird and wonderful facts about the Okapi, stay tuned as things are about to get interesting. But before we get into the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as well as hit that notification bell so you don't miss any more videos we put out. Its designation as endangered. Despite having existed on Earth for longer than human beings, the Okapi as a species was actually first discovered by Western scientists at the start of the 20th century. One full century later, and the rare mammal has already been placed on the endangered species list by the International Union for Conservation of Nature. Simply put, this was the direct result of surrounding human intervention, as those on the plains of the Democratic Republic of Congo learned that more and more resources would be necessary to supply for all the demand. They decided to move over to the surrounding rainforests of the country. Slowly but surely, the forests that the Okapi call home are being struck from existence to be used for fuel and other means of life. In fact, it's been said that over the last 15 years alone, the Okapi members are thought to have been halved. There's no doubt that the Okapi need our help, which is precisely why they've been placed on the IUCN's Red List. Let's just hope that the designation helps prolong their survival. Proof of evolution. Those who are religious or have little knowledge about the process of scientific method often view the topic of evolution as being nothing more than a theory, completely unaware that this is the closest that science gets to calling something a fact. But evolution is absolutely real, ladies and gentlemen, and the Okapi is proof. Just take one look at the cute mammal's striped bottoms, and you might have to be able to discern that it's the only living relative of the giraffe, which roams the plains of Africa a few kilometers away. More specifically, both the giraffe and its cousins, the Okapi, are the only living species of the giraffe family that share a number of common features, and that includes, but is not limited to, their elongated necks and long black tongues. By taking a look at the gait of the Okapi, you'll also notice how it resembles that of the giraffe, with both animals simultaneously stepping with the same front and hind legs rather than moving their alternative legs like other ungulates. The male Okapi also have short horns on their foreheads covered in skin called ossections, which develop between 1 and 5 years of age. And wouldn't you know it, they share this very similar trait with male giraffes. The personality of a mouse. The Okapi are the epitome of adorable, with some even saying that the animal deserves a place in the Pixar Protagonist Hall of Fame. Shy and usually solidarity, the Okapi is nearly impossible to observe in the wild, which is especially true nowadays, considering how rare this species has become. Strangely enough, visiting Europeans heard tales of the Okapi for quite some time, but only the native forest dwellers of the Congo have seen it, causing the Europeans to feel like they were being joked around by many of the natives. These tales of old resulted in the Okapi taking on an almost mythical existence, shared by other creatures like the griffin and unicorn. In fact, many Europeans even regarded the solitary animal as the African unicorn, showing just how much they had come to disbelieve the notions of the native inhabitants of the land. This didn't stop explorers from setting out to confirm its existence though, but none of these expeditions were particularly fruitful. Finally, in 1901, Sir Harry Johnston acquired a complete skin and 2 skulls from a group of grateful pygmies, which resulted in the scientific naming of the species in honor of the Okapi johnsoni. Suffice it to say, the natives were correct, and the Okapi slowly but surely lost its mythical label. Will the same thing happen to creatures like dragons, griffins, and unicorns? Well, only time will tell. Incredible hiders and seekers. If you've ever trudged through the rainforest of the Democratic Congo of the Republic and came across a friendly Okapi, the last thing you need to do is suggest a game of hide and seek. This is because the adaptive mammals have some remarkable defensive mechanisms that prevent them from being found by predators. Their large ears have been developed to take in the smallest of sounds, which allow them to notice the tiniest of disturbances in the forestry surrounding them. One crunch of a leaf and the okapi will be gone before you can think about doing anything else. These mammals also have distinguishing brown and white dots on their rumps, which can act as camouflage in the forest that they live in. Surprisingly enough, okapis also have a pretty ingenious way to protect their calves for the first few weeks of their lives. Rather than explore the forest and risk being eaten by leopards, an okapi calf will stay in one place, call its nest, and for the next 6 to 9 weeks of its life. This is a lot longer than calves from similar species like the giraffe and deer. The okapi use this time to grow strong bodies and develop their defensive mechanisms, which is why they were able to survive quite easily until we humans came along. They belong in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Over the last couple of years, we've all come to love the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the various superheroes that it's introduced us to. As of right now, no superhero is able to communicate with another through the use of infrasonic powers though, right? Which makes the okapi the perfect hero to turn things around. In an attempt to not alert other predators which are hiding in the surrounding forest, okapi mothers will quickly develop a superpower of their own and are able to communicate with their calves by releasing an infrasonic call that exists only around 14 Hz. Such a call can't be heard by predators, but they can be heard by okapi. Boots made for more than walking. The okapi also have the strangest and stinkiest feet you'll ever meet in your life, which has the tendency to bring their cuteness down a little bit. While other mammals such as wolves and tigers will mark their territories by releasing chemicals through urine, the okapi do the very same by simply walking. You see, the solitary mammals of the Democratic Republic of Congo actually have scent glands on each foot, which leave a tar-like substance on the ground when they walk through their territory. The tar-like substance has the same chemical which is found in the urine of other mammals, and communicates that the land these other mammals are walking on belongs to the okapi. This does, however, make it pretty easy for predators to discover a hunting ground to the okapi, which is why they have to develop some kind of incredible defense mechanisms for which leopards decide that it's time for a snack. The tongue of champions. As mentioned earlier, the okapi share a few similar traits with their cousins the giraffe, who've also got long tongues of purple blackish color. It's not just the color which gets people's attention though, as the tongues of the okapi are incredibly long, measuring 18 inches, depending on the respective body mass. But why do these animals need such long tongues? I mean, it's not like they're sticking them in anthills or anything, right? Well, the okapi actually use their tongues to wrap around leaves which they eat for sustenance. They also use their tongues to both groom their calves and themselves. In fact, the tongue of the okapi is so long and maneuverable that it can be used to both lick its own ears and clean out its eyelids. And here we thought cats were the kings of self-grooming. The overlapping home ranges. We've already mentioned that the okapi are mostly solitary animals, but there are certain instances where the species will get together for some fun. The first is for clearly propagation reasons, which is what most mammals share with one another. It is then the mother that will often stay with the calves during this nesting period to both protect it and teach it how to survive in the big bad forest. Even if the okapis are not related to one another, it needs to be kept in mind that they do sometimes meet up by pure accident. This is because of the overlapping of home ranges, and since adult females have a home range of about 3 to 5 kilometers squared, while male adults have a home range of about 13 kilometers squared, it's not uncommon for the okapi to be alright with a certain amount of overlap. Not too much though, which is why the marking of territory is pretty important in the long run. Protecting the okapi. With the okapi being placed on the IUCN Red List, conservationists might be asking why the cute species of mammals isn't being protected as much as they should be right now. But there's a good reason for this, and it has a lot to do with the political structure of the Democratic Republic of Congo. Although the okapi are hunted for both meat and skin, habitat loss is the primary cause for their disintegration and endangerment. The only problem is that illegally armed groups in some protected areas have prevented effective conservation action. It's incredibly difficult to ensure the protection of an entire species when your own life is being threatened after all, as that's when our own evolutionary fight or flight response takes over. To serve as an example to those who want to help keep the okapi and the proxy prevent the flourishing of the Democratic Republic of Congo, action was taken back in June 2012. On that fateful day, the reserve Le Fawn in Okapi's headquarters was attacked, and this resulted in the death of 7 conservationists along with the 14 captive okapi. And since female gestation takes around 14 to 16 months, with females only giving birth 1 calf at a time, the okapi simply can't keep up with the eradication actions by our fellow man. In other words, they need our help for their own protection, but it looks like even that is now being threatened. What do you think of the world's most cutest solitary mammal? Feel free to let us know in the comment section down below.